It's not easy being one of the first third-party developers for a new console. You haven't had the same access to the console as the first-party developer had, since they, at an early stage, started testing its capabilities. And every new console is unharnessed power. It's new ground, where you set the first example on which other developers build on top of. It can sometimes be hard to grasp that Halo 3 and Halo 4 runs the exact same console, only 5 years apart. And if you keep that in mind, Pen Pen TriIcelon is fine. It's a good start. But games are judged in a vacuum, with no courtesy taken to under which circumstance they were developed under. General Entertainment, or Land Ho, developed 2 out of the 4 launch titles for Dreamcast when it was first released in Japan: Godzilla Generations and Pen Pen TriIcelon. And, as one could imagine, neither of them were great at getting consoles off the shelves. Godzilla Generations never saw an international release, and neither did its sequel, Maximum Impact. General Entertainment later went on to also develop one of the first games for Sony's PlayStation 2, Love Story, which took advantage of the console's DVD capabilities by being an interactive movie where the game took place solely in FMV sequences. That was about 8 years after the people had played Night Trap on the Sega CD, and watching low-res film footage and pressing a button once in a while maybe isn't that great of an experience. And that was probably the case in 2001 as well. But let's talk about Pen Pen TriIcelon. It's published by Infogrames, later incorporated as Atari, and even later again, a defunct company. Apparently, taking a name from a company that hasn't been very successful at moving inventory since the mid-80s doesn't grant you any favors. But anyway. The name Pen Pen TriIcelon is a semi-clever play on words, and it basically gives you the whole premise of the game. It's a triathlon but on ice, and the Pen Pens are the creatures that performs it. And it's all very strange.
Tina! Cute! Every Pen Pen's heartthrob! Mr. Ball! Looking good today in that red headgear. Sneak! What a clown! He baffles everybody with his wacky style. Valerie. This cutie loves flowers. See her charming white smile? Oh, don't you just love those teeth? Hello, music. What? Well, the Pen Pens are just raring to splash, waddle, slide. They're gonna be burning up the ice today. The Pen Pen
Pen Pen is reminiscent of a kart racer, but without the karts. And I say reminiscent because kart racers usually offers a lot more than this triathlon does. There are no items, no real skill-based driving involved, and while there is a timing aspect to the controls, we have to press and release the A button to gain momentum, the levels are so linear and plain that it just becomes a tedious task to even move forward. You could blame it on the fact that it's presented as a game for kids, and that is why it's simplified. But you could make the same argument for the 2-year-older Mario Kart 64, but instead that game's longevity is heavily reliant on you mastering both the course layouts and the driving techniques. Pen Pen's concept itself, it's not uninteresting. Just like in a real triathlon for real humans, the race is divided into 3 parts, which consists of gliding on your belly, walking and hopping, and swimming. Gliding and swimming is where the time button presses comes in, whereas the walking segments give you a dash kind of move to stun your enemies, but can also stun you if you miss your target. There are also speed boosts laying around the levels, but that's where the depths of the gameplay is reached. There are 4 levels available, which, depending on the difficulty, varies in length. The 4 levels also have 4 different themes: candy, toys, horror, and a terrible symbol of black oppression. In the jungle level, you are greeted by a character resembling something straight out of a minstrel show from the 1800s. The level itself is fine, I guess, until the end when he comes back for the award ceremony to give you your prize, but really just stops by to remind you of mankind's terrible history. If you choose one of the higher difficulties, there's an extra obstacle placed in the level, like the spinning room in the jungle level or the wind tunnel in the candy level. It adds some kind of flavor to an otherwise very stale game. And that is probably Pen Pen's major flaw. That it's empty. It's a straight line. It's based on luck and coincidences. The obstacles are traps rather than challenges. And all of this is probably an unfortunate product of a rushed development to meet the launch date of the Dreamcast, but it's hard to know exactly. Google translating from Japanese to the best of my ability, there is a possibility that the production cycle was only around 2 months. Looking at the Sega website produces no real information either, except the release date. And for some reason, translating the page to English changes the name to Pen Pen TriIcelon. I don't know what's that about. Researching general entertainment itself is not especially easy, neither, since they closed down in 2011, and they now share their name with the new Saudi Arabian authority that built theme parks. It's saddening somehow that a game with vivid polygon characters and glimpses of goodness just falls flat. And with a rushed development or not, in a vacuum, it's just not that good of a game.